Hello, hello. Welcome. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm going to be checking the chat. This is all very, very new. So, you guys just have to work with me as we're getting started, but I'm really excited. All right, let me see. Folks, let me know if you can hear me in the chat on the right-hand side. Oops. Maybe a question mark. Thanks, Aaron. Hi. Hi, Maria. Yay. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes, but I wanted to get on here early and just say welcome. I'm really excited. And I got a couple of tweets with questions. So I'm going to respond to folks that want to jump on. But we're going to get started no later than like 7:03. Thanks, Wilhelmina and Sarah. Hi. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm really excited. I'm going to take a breath. All right. Coolio. Wilhelmina, Sarah, Aaron, hi. Thank you all so much for taking your time to taking time out of your day to listen in on this grad school funding. Looking forward to it. I was trying to figure out how to show my face as well, like in the corner or something, because I definitely put on lipstick, but I mean, I guess I don't want to make things overly complicated, so just gonna have to work with what I got going on. Let's see if I can figure this out. So the people joining, welcome. I'm really excited. I'm gonna start in one more minute. So if you have someone that you know was supposed to be watching, let them know that I'm about to get started. Let's see. I've got it on, but I guess it just does not show my face as well. Let's see. Okay. Don't know what that is. Oops. Sorry. Hi. Okay. Didn't want you all to see my face the whole time, so I'm going to go back to what I was doing. All right. Okay. I'm just going to wait one more minute, and then we're going to get started. All right, 7:03. Okay, thank you all so much again for taking time to listen in on this webinar. I'm really excited to share what I've learned so far about grad school, specifically as it relates to funding. So let's get started. Sorry, I couldn't get to this. All right, so I already did that. How to secure grad school funding. Let's get to it. So first thing, I just want to ask if you all can like try and close down anything you have going on in the background. This this is my first time doing a webinar, so especially live, I don't know if there have been any like technical challenges or buffer issues. So if you could do that. If you have a Mac, there's a really cool thing you can do, like if your text come to your Mac on the side, if you kind of just float to the right-hand corner, you can pull up your sidebar and click your laptop on Do Not Disturb. And if you are able, if you can like get rid of any distractions so we can get started. All right, cool. And if you stay into the end, I will be sharing a list of my side hustles for grad students. Honestly, after I put these slides together, I was like, oh, crud, there's like no space for me to fit this into a whole hour and cover the side hustles. So I've created a document for you all that you can get at the end of the presentation if you, all right, hang and stick it out with me, all right? Cool. So just a real quick question, like how many of you all are master's students or aspiring to be a master's student? Are you thinking about getting your PhD or your EDD, your MD, or become a PA, or your JD or another professional degree? I'm just really curious. Oh goodness, I'm really curious to hear, you know, where you are and what you've got going on. So I'm gonna have to close this, so it's gonna look crazy, but just I want to be able to see the chat too. So let me know which category you fit. Like, are you master's, EDD, JD, some professional degree? Oh, let me know. Have you all seen any of the slides? Let me refresh. Maybe that's the mistake. Okay. All right. PhD student, I see Erin. I know Faria and I talked earlier. I know that she's thinking about something in the professional, in the medical field. Yeah, that's the right slide. Wilhelmina, okay, you want to, 1 year out of undergrad, aspiring to get a joint MBA. That's what I'm talking about. All right, thank you all for responding. I was like, oh crap. When I looked over at my screen, I couldn't see anything. Thank you, Angela. All right, so we got a little bit of a mix. I see Ashley is wanting to pursue a PhD. Brianna just finished her undergrad in May, and she's aspiring to get a master's. So dope. Love it. All right, Angela, MPP. So you're on the professional track. Cool. I want to say, I don't want to butcher your name. So Ngui, I think, researching in the process of doing a Psych D. Nice, nice, awesome. Okay, so I just wanted to see where people are at. That's so cool. That's awesome. All right, and then I feel like this happened to me, and I just want to know if this happened to you. So you could just say like yes or no. Like someone just says like you don't have to pay for grad school, but they never tell you like how you're not supposed to pay for grad school. Like they're never giving you any details about the process of like getting funding for graduate school. So let me know if you've heard something along those lines. We're gonna probably never use this again because it was terrible. Okay. I guess maybe I'll go with that no one heard this. So that's cool. All right. So people usually fall into 3 categories, and some of you all probably know where you are right now. So maybe you don't have a clue at all. Like you haven't applied to grad school yet, but you know you need money if you're going to go. You don't really know how financing a graduate education works. Or maybe you're new to this. You've heard about funding. You might have heard about like fellowships or different versions of scholarships for graduate students. You might be still in your first or second year of grad school, be it a master's or a PhD or, you know, whatever, all the different variations of advanced degrees. Or you might be true to this. Maybe you're a veteran and you just know it's time to get back in the game of applying and you just wanted like a bit of a refresher, or it's your first time applying for external funding, even though you're aware of different type sources of funding. So people that I've talked to usually fall into one of these three categories. There's not one that's better than the other because there's all space for us to grow in each category. So we all already know graduate school is mad expensive. Like it averages about $30,000 to $40,000 a year, which is just a lot, like more than some people's salary, certainly more than mine right now. I don't have a salary, but it's not a game, right? And who wants to, depending on the length of your program, you know, incur anywhere from $80,000 to over $100,000 in student loan debt? Like that is not the move. So next is kind of figuring out, you know, where you are with your funding scenario with graduate school. So like, do you know that you just don't want to incur more student loan debt, but you're a little bit flexible about what that looks like? Or are you saying like, if I don't get funding, I cannot go to grad school, which is definitely a different situation, right? Like not wanting to incur more student loan debt versus like, I cannot even go to graduate school if I don't have funding. Or he might be in the last part where it's like, people keep saying I can go for free, but like aren't giving me details on how. So I'm thinking that if you are here today and listening, you would probably fit into one of these three categories. So if you do, you're in the right place. And I'm very happy you're here. And it means a lot that you're spending time, especially on Thursday night. And I know Atlanta just came out. And I think How to Get Away with Scandal is tonight too. So I really appreciate those who are taking time. I don't have a TV, so I kind of forgot until it was showing up on my Twitter feed. But I had to commit to the time because I already said it. So just a little bit of throwback. So the picture on the left is me back in 2012, graduating from the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. Super excited about going to graduate school. I had funding. It came with my application, like with my admission, my acceptance packet. But I had no idea what it really meant. So this is me on the right-hand side. My mom and I went to go, you know, apartment shopping and like sign my paperwork for my fellowship. And so I received a fellowship for students in undergrad who are underrepresented in engineering. And I didn't really know what I was signing up for. I just was like, oh, cool. They'll pay for it. They'll pay for my degree. There was like a commitment, a contract between myself and the university stating that I, you know, would complete my PhD there and they would pay for it. And so I thought, this is gravy. Like, I don't have to worry about anything. I'm good. And so in this picture, I'm like relatively happy. Definitely way happier on the left-hand side, but I'm happy on the right-hand side too. But then something happened. After my first year in my program, I had the first year went well. Come up fall, my research group gets really small when spring semester begins my second year. Like 2 of the people that I was working with didn't return to the lab spring semester. And so like most grad students, I had an advisor and he and I sat down and had a meeting and he let me know that the project that I was working on with him had lost funding and then I had to work on a new project. Now, the new project was completely different from my background and what I've been working on before. Prior to my time doing the project I'm talking about now, I was working in a lab doing like genetic engineering type of work, modifying bacteria for like being like cell hardiness, whatever, nerd stuff. But that was my field of interest. I had really been interested in like biofuel production. And so I was really enthusiastic about that work. And then to find out that I couldn't even work on it anymore. And I thought that the contract I signed gave me protection for, I'm like, well, he's not paying for my program. He's not paying for my education. So I should be free to study what I want. But that wasn't the case. The school made the commitment, but they didn't make a commitment about where the money came from or the conditions to the money. And so I had to go literally wherever the money went. And that is when I was like, F that. I don't want to have to rely on money on campus, because if that's the case, I would be always chasing money and not being able to work on what I really want to study. I was really devastated by that. So I started doing this thing called Fellowship Fridays. And so I would write essays and apply for work. Granted, ignore the bottom 2 lines. I was young and excited. I did not travel that much my 25th year of life. But, I definitely I think this was a really good idea that I kind of just came up on my own, trying to find my own money so that I wouldn't be in a situation. Even though I was in that situation, I was trying to find a way out of it. So then I kind of kept up with it. So another Fellowship Friday, I completed some fellowship apps. And of course, my fave, Beyonce is life. And so I was really excited that she dropped an album that day. But the point is, I was spending my time on Fridays when I didn't have class applying for fellowships. So I want you to look at the date. So the first date was December 6th. This is December 13th. This is 6 days later. And so I already, within 2 weeks of applying for fellowships, I got a traineeship. And so this traineeship helped pay my bills that last semester of graduate school. All right. So the reason I'm telling you that is because I just want you to know how realistic this is to accomplish. Finding your own funding for graduate school is not hard. It's not a big secret. You just have to take some time from your schedule to make this money. Okay. So I'm going to just stop for a minute and see. Oh, man. Okay. I see the slides. All right. I see I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. Fudge. Okay. I see that you all can't see anything. I'm going to try. I'm so sorry. Okay. Now you can see something. Man. Okay. Something's like, go check. Thank you all for working with me. Whatever you clicked on, shifted gears. Okay. I will go back a couple of slides so I can go over what I was talking to y'all. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. All right. So I feel like y'all missed like all of this. Oh, wait, no, we went through that. You're in the right place. Okay. Wow. Thanks for sticking it out. Y'all were just listening to me. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Just pay. Yeah. I know, right? I'm going to keep it in bootleg edit mode. I know. I guess I'm going to have to. Thank you, Ashley. All right. Y'all, I am so sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is what y'all see now. And we're just going to keep it right here so I can see everybody's slides. So yeah, this is super bootleg because y'all see the little things. I'm just keeping it really, really real. All right. So I told this story. This was the picture of his face, kind of his response. And thank you. Thank you, Erin and Wilhelmina. You guys are great. And Ashley. Fellowship Fridays. This is something that I used to do when I was in my master's program. It really helped me to kind of keep track of applying for fellowships and constantly keeping it, like making it a part of my regular schedule of looking for and applying for scholarships and fellowships for school. So this is the 6th. And then the 13th, I did it again. And I would say maybe before that, I spent about, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I wouldn't say I went over 6 weeks of effort for my fellowship Fridays, but I would just spend a couple of hours a day looking for fellowships, looking for things, applying, getting my paper, like tweaking my essays, reaching out to my prospective recommenders, and it really paid off. So the last one is the 19th, and so I was accepted into a traineeship, and this traineeship was an extra $1,000 a month paycheck to me to take 2 classes and attend a conference and present at that conference. Those were the only conditions of that traineeship. And it was like, I mean, agricultural health and safety is definitely important, but that wasn't in my wheelhouse at the time, but I certainly made it so I could get that money, right? And I'll go over what grad hourly jobs are as well a little bit later. Okay. I'm assuming you all can see because the comments are slowing down. All right, great. Next. Yeah, I need you to know that it's absolutely doable. So what we're going to talk about today is different funding sources, some example scenarios on where you can find some example scenarios. Then we're going to do where you can find funding applications and then tips for completing your funding applications. So what I'm hoping will be the result when you leave is understanding the various sources of funding and what they kind of look like and how they can be structured. I'll give you a really great go-to database to find funding, and then also some really kind of like quick and dirty tricks for finding them at your campuses or your desired campuses, and then how to quickly complete applications, like spending minimal time on applications after that first try. So let's get to it. And unfortunately, my gift's not gonna work because I'm on my bootleg version. All right. So fellowships. And as some of you may or may not know, I have a podcast / audio blog called Blackened in Grad School. And I already had an episode where I kind of went through fellowships and what they are and what they look like. And but I'll still go over it again. But if you want to hear like a more in-depth explanation, I definitely direct you to that episode. So all fellowships provide financial support to graduate students to pursue their graduate studies. Typically, there are no conditions to fellowships. That means you have no teaching requirements. You only research you have to worry about is the research in your interest. And it's generally merit-based, and this is reserved usually for full-time course of study. One of the exceptions to that rule is the American Association of University Women. They provide a lot of funding for women who are working or who are returning to graduate school, and they are really a great source if you are looking for some funding, but you are not wanting to go full time. But typically fellowships give you a stipend, they pay all your tuition and fees. And so it's like the gravy train of graduate school funding. So here's one example. The Ford Foundation Fellowship is a pretty popular and prestigious fellowship that exists. It's been around for a couple of years. And so the stipend is around $24,000. It covers your full tuition. Again, there's no teaching required. You don't have to work at all. And the great thing is you get the freedom to conduct research of your interest. And that's kind of something that I've emphasized with the story before, how I did not have that freedom to work on a project that I was interested in. Once the money was gone, the project was gone. So one hint, actually, like tip for those who like aren't applying, who are in the process of applying for graduate programs, if you are talking to a professor or a potential advisor, you can kind of ask them like the structure of their funding, and you can know, like, is the project that you're going to work on, is it on its last year of funding, or is it on its first year? Are they planning on applying for more money in that field? And if you can help, that is something that you definitely want to ask in a tactful way, just to get an idea. Of course, you don't know that money runs out, and if there's no money for the project, you have to end the project. You don't know to ask those questions. Like I didn't know when I was getting my master's degree. So that's definitely something, that was an aside, but just something to think about when you are talking to potential advisors. But right, for here, you want to apply for these fellowships, and it usually has, like, I applied for it this year. It's like 3 essays and then 3 recommendations, and GRE scores, transcripts, all of that. So the next thing I want to share are assistantships. So there are a lot of different types of assistantships, but the easiest way to think of it is there are paid academic appointments. And so they have some sort of like part-time work attached to them, be it teaching, research, or administrative work. And so it's typically about 20 hours a week, and it will generate a tuition waiver. And the tuition waiver is literally, I don't say as it sounds, but it waives tuition. So you are no longer responsible for tuition because the work that you are doing pays for your education. And so stipend rates you can find on this link, and I will share my presentation after in my recap email. But this is a really great way to get school paid for if, say, you were admitted to a program you really want to be in, but they didn't come with any funding attached. You can find a professor and ask, can I work on this research project for 20 hours? Or if you have any connections in the administration office, any administrative office really on campus, asking if you can maybe become their graduate student assistant. Or lastly, and I say lastly, teaching, because teaching just it's very time consuming, and it can vary so much. Like some schools, the TAs are just checking homework. Some schools, the TAs are teaching the classes. They're making they might be making the syllabus. They might be making the material for lectures. And so because of the wide range of outcomes for a teaching assistantship, I just kind of say, like, let that be your last resort. And because it's because it's so taxing in comparison to the other two. But those are just like the 3 types of assistantships, and I have some examples here. So for a research assistantship, you'd be working like 20 hours a week at maybe the university's biosolid labs, taking samples by zip code. And this research is cool. That is not my typo also for this meme, but this, like I said, this is a great way if you need just to get a tuition waiver generated. And this research is on top of your research for your degree. Like if you're not working on biosolids, maybe you are in the English department, but there's money in the biosolids department. You might be doing research that's not related to your work. But if it gets that bill paid and you don't have to pay for school, and it provides a stipend, it might be worth it versus taking out loans to pay for school. So like I said, this is a great option, but you want to get as closely aligned to your research interests as possible to make this really work in your favor. And this is also usually for full-time students. I don't really know any part-time students who do this, but I'm sure there's like ways around that too. Like if you're part-time and you're working 10 hours, and it'll generate a certain percentage of your tuition being waived. Next is the teaching assistantship. So I know we've all had a class or 2 or 3 that was taught by the TA. And I've kind of already went in on why I don't suggest this, but this is a very common way that people pay for their degree, and or rather get it paid for. And typically, like I said, you're responsible for teaching, but the responsibilities vary widely by department, by professor, by university. So this could be a lot of work or a little work. It just really depends. But typically you're proctoring exams, grading tests and homework, and facilitating like supplemental learning. So maybe a recitation or, of course, holding office hours for students. So I have an example after this, but the average wage of a graduate teaching assistant, isn't like incredibly high. Like these places with these dark blue places with 42,000 and 53,000. Like I'm trying to figure out what schools that's at because I've never met anybody making that much money. Okay, that's a grad student, but I believe it exists. And then I feel like somewhere in the 30,000, under 40,000, like I say 24 to like 35,000 are probably more normal numbers for tuition. Well, for a stipend for your assistantship, regardless of research fund or a fellowship or a teaching assistantship, excuse me. Okay. Next is, I just want to check in on y'all, make sure everything's okay. So I'm going to refresh. Let's see how it's going. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, Angela was the last person to say something that it's okay. So I'm going to assume everything's going all right. All right, cool. So next is graduate assistantships. And okay, thank you, Erin. Erin's the GOAT right now. Graduate assistantships are pretty much, thank you, Angela and Fariha. Thank you all. Graduate assistantships are pretty much when you are working in an office or working kind of like doing something administrative. So is it answering phones or doing filing stuff or helping to run a program? So I know when I was at Illinois, there was a summer predoctoral institute program, and it was run pretty much completely by graduate students. And that's how they paid their bills over the summer, with that graduate assistantship. And so it generated a waiver. They had to like take a class or something, like a research hour credits. And that way they were able to progress in their degree, but also make sure they have a check to cover their summer months. And so typically graduate assistantships are on the lower end pay wise because they can be so few hours, like 10 hours or 20 hours. And this is to generate a waiver. You want to just get a little bit, you want to get some, you want to make sure that you get your tuition waived. That is the goal, right? All these are different ways to make sure your tuition gets waived. We don't want to pay this tuition. And so the graduate assistantships provide just that, a tuition waiver generating position. And so while the pay isn't high, you can combine this with a research assistantship or a teaching assistantship. Probably not a fellowship, because most times fellowships require that you don't work at all. It's like a condition. Even though I have a little workaround, right, with my side hustles. But the point is, this is again a way to get that tuition waiver generating position. That is where an assistantship kind of comes in. Not there to like help you sustain. I mean, it helps you sustain, but again, that tuition and fees is the main point. Okay, one thing I do want to make sure that people know, this is something I did not know when I started my graduate journey. Assistantships and fellowships cover your tuition, but they do not cover all of your fees. So you might have an expense on your bill even when you have a fellowship, y'all. Let me tell you, just a quick funny story. When I got to Illinois, I had like a $400 bill. And I was like, I got a full ride. Full ride mean zero balance. I went in there so confident. I printed out a copy of my letters in case they forgot. Like, maybe it's not on file. Let me bring it with me. And I was like, I have a full full ride, so I don't understand how I owe y'all $400. And they were like, oh no, it doesn't cover all your student fees. So like those fees for like transportation costs or like activity fees, or like if your school has like a gym, there's like a gym fee or whatever. Those types of fees are typically not covered by your assistantship or your fellowship. So you want to make sure that you have that money set aside. So here, where I'm at now in Pittsburgh, it's usually about like $200 or $300 a semester that I have to pay out of pocket to cover my fees. Now, at Illinois, it was about $70,000 a full school year. So that's going to school full, like all year round. And I would say here it's about 60, and paying $200 a semester. So, what, $400 a year, or even the $800 a year I was paying in Illinois compared to $70,000 or, the $60,000 education I'm getting. When you put it in perspective, I'm like, all right, I guess I can give y'all this money. So that's something that I just want to make sure people are aware of. But when you put it into perspective, it's not that big of a deal. But it definitely threw me for a loop the first time it happened to me. And I was like, y'all wrong, because I got a full ride. So just little things you should know. So next, I want to cover how to find funding and national opportunities. You will see one link, and I'm only sending you this one link because it's popping. Cornell did a really great job of creating a database that's really easy to go through and really easy to find. So I'm going to switch screens for a second and show you all the database for Cornell. And while I'm doing that, if you have any questions so far, please let me know in the chat. I'm about to refresh it and take a look. Any questions? Hi again. All right, I'm about to switch screens. Probably this one is about to be ridiculous, but it's fine. Okay. Let me know. Oh, I think I know who that is, the NG finally. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, can you all see the Cornell site? Let me know. Let me know. Okay, so the cool thing is you can look by discipline, so arts and humanities, life sciences, engineering, social sciences, physical science and engineering, interdisciplinary or not specified. You can pick your demographic if you're a woman, underrepresented minority, or other. Also, you can pick your citizenship, depending on, of course, your citizenship status, and you can go by degree. And I think that's really great as you go through your graduate school journey, that you can come back to this website and see, okay, I'm done with my master's now. So now I'm pre-exam PhD candidate, or I'm post-exam. So I'm writing my dissertation and I just need help with that. Or lastly, it's postdoc. I'm postdoc, I'm done, but I need some money to complete, maybe my research project for my dissertation, or something along those lines. So what I will tell you about fellowships is most of them have deadlines in kind of aligned with the time that you apply for graduate school. So a lot of programs have the deadline of like January 1 or December 15th, somewhere like end of the year, to submit your application. And a lot of the bigger fellowships that cover all your tuition and are super prestigious also have a deadline around that time. So it definitely takes some coordination and scheduling to make sure you stay on top of all of these things. But if you are in school, it's also hard. Like I just applied for a fellowship over the fall. It was my first semester of my PhD program. And, getting acclimated to a new city, a new school, still trying to make sure I stay on top of the funding opportunities that are available here. it's just time consuming. And so it's really important that you stay organized and you want to get this stuff done as soon as possible to make your life easier. As you see right now, it's like all fall. But there are a few fellowships that are available like year round, which kind of takes me, I want to say, to my next point of internal fellowships. So I'm going to switch back to the PowerPoint. All right. Any questions so far? Oh, yeah, so I thought, I was like, I think it was Ngazi. I was thinking that too. Hey, Ngazi. I figured that was you. I was like, I think I know who that is. I'm sorry. Got excited. Okay. Any questions right now? We can see the Cornell site. Everything good. Okay. Cool. Thank you all. All right. Next is internal opportunities. So this is the easiest money to get, y'all. It's almost like, why is this such a big secret? So the easiest way to do this is Google the school you want to go to and then internal fellowships. And usually it'll take you to like the fellowship office for that school, where it'll have a list of the available fellowships and the requirements. And the requirements are usually like be nominated by your department chair or by your department or by your advisor. And that's it, y'all. That's it. So all you have to do is, if you stay in the loop and stay on top of the internal fellowships site, send a message to your advisor and say, hey, I heard about blah, blah, blah. Do you think you would be willing to nominate me? And usually they don't have to do anything but like make a one pager and just send it on to whoever. And so this doesn't even require you to really do anything but like Google. Like, what? This is almost crazy. So when I was at, a lot of my examples are going to come from Illinois because I spent more time there. I found a summer program that paid my rent, paid for my summer classes, and gave me a stipend. And so I was like, oh, I'll apply for that because I want this money. And so I went to my advisor like, hey, will you nominate me for this summer internship program? And that way you don't have to pay my summer stipend. He was happy to do that because that meant he had more money for his other students, and I'm still getting my money and making sure that I'm, paid and able to take care of, my bills and my tuition. So that is like a super duper duper easy way to get money, is go on the site, look at the fellowships, see what you qualify for, and then ask someone to nominate you. And this, typically the nominations will come with like, it'll be related to your topic of interest. For example, right now I have an internal fellowship here where it's about autonomous vehicles, about automated intelligence, like artificial intelligence and ethics. And so my work in this past semester, 2 semesters now, has been focused on the ethics of autonomous vehicles. And that aligns with my interests, like my research background now is autonomous vehicles. And so now my advisor doesn't have to worry about my first year of my education at all because they pay for it. And it was literally him sending a message. And when you find those internal fellowships and then send it to them, your advisors also appreciate that you are a go-getter, and you are actually reducing their financial load of you. And it makes you more valuable as a student and as a upcoming colleague and peer. Like, you're someone who they know is out looking for their own opportunities and creating your own opportunities. So I think it's really important that you do this one because it's like so easy. That's also how I found that traineeship that gave me that extra $1,000 a month in my paycheck as my stipend, was just looking. So it just is about looking at your university, seeing what's available there and aligning yourself with it. I'm still here for questions. I'm gonna do another refresh. We're coming to the tail end. So how do you even apply for funding? Like, how do you even do this? It's so easy, y'all. I promise. You just spend some time and write one really strong personal statement. Just give it your best effort and make sure you get a lot of eyes on it, get a lot of help reading it and getting it edited. Excuse me. You want to spend, maybe your first 2 fellowship Fridays getting that paper like down and having it just really strong and really good bones on it of a paper. And I'll share some tips like on what that even looks like, the content of your personal statement as well. And then for graduate students, most graduate school programs require some sort of prospective research. Most graduate school programs include research. A lot are changing now, especially at the master's level where you don't have to do as much research. But for those of you all, I think I saw like MPP and I'm about to scroll up. So MPP probably have a research component. For Ria, I know you're in a PA program, but like, I don't know if the master's also comes with some sort of component of research. PhD students, Aaron and Ashley definitely are going to have some research component. And guys, you're going to definitely have some research as well. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to have this funding. I'm trying to foot this bill. I'm sorry. I just saw that, Aaron. Okay. Now I'm just seeing where y'all told me I couldn't see anything. Sorry. So, right. If you have a research component, the fellowships are probably going to also ask, like, what are you doing your research on? And so you want to make sure you write a really strong essay that speaks to that. And you can definitely get, hey, Sarah, PhD in horticulture sciences. Yes, the ag boat, ag related people. My background's ag engineering. Ashley, PhD in physics. Like, whoo, power to you. That is amazing. So yeah, you want to have a really strong research essay, and then you want to stay in touch with your potential recommenders. That is so, so, so important because you want to have like, if you're going to spend some time doing fellowships, you want to have about 5 to 6 people that you can call on to write recommendations for you, because you don't want to keep asking the same person over and over again, and then they're going to want to say no. And if you only have like 3 people and you apply to say 6 fellowships, they're not going to be as enthusiastic about having to submit a written recommendation over and over again. And then the quality of that recommendation goes down because they don't really care about, they're just going to like do a plug and chug, like plug in the new name and the new program and like keep it moving. And like, while that's okay, but you kind of want them to tailor their recommendation so it's really strong. And I know, and that the people who receive it know that this person is recommending you and put you in a high regard because it took time to make sure that that paper is tailored, that letter is tailored to that particular application, whatever foundation or university or department that is receiving it. So you want to stay in touch with them, and you don't have to say a lot, right? You don't have to like say like anything crazy. Like, I still stay in touch with my advisor from my bachelor's degree, Dr. Shabazi. He is one of my favorite people. Literally this weekend, like this week, like 2 days ago, I was in California for a conference, and I happened to be at his alma mater. All I did was snap a picture of me in front of the ag engineering building and say, hey, Dr. Shabazi, I didn't want anything. I just want to say I was on your old campus and it's beautiful. I hope you're having a great day. Miss A&T. And that's it. And so I know that I don't have to, when I do need something, it won't be me always reaching out to ask for something. And like when I go back to homecoming, I try to go on Thursday so I can go by the department and say hello to people. My mentor for my master's program. I still keep in touch with him. You know, I've interviewed him for the audio blog. He's actually going to be on this month, so I'm really excited. I'm finally releasing his episode, but you know, I keep in touch with him and try to stay involved and engage with him, so that when I do need recommendations, he's quick to respond and happy to do it. You want them to be happy to do it. So that's why it's really important to stay in touch with your recommenders. Like I said in the last slide, keep an eye out for different funding opportunities. You never know what'll show up. Just check your email. Sometimes, you know, departments send out a bunch of stuff and sometimes it can get annoying, but like there's usually some nuggets in there. There's some money, some travel funding, some something, some money. So make sure you're reading those emails that come out, especially if it's like in the subject line, right? And then never stop applying. Like, I just feel like there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of backup money or more money than you need. And that way you have your choice of what you want to pick to be your source of funding. That is an ideal situation. But I will be honest with you all, that has never happened to me. I've probably applied, I'd say maybe 6 or 7 fellowships at this point, and I've gotten like 3 of the ones I've applied to. So I'm batting at less than half, right? So it kind of keeps me, I keep applying and keep applying and keep applying. So hopefully my, oh, yay. Thank you, Ashley. Bye. It's going to record the rest. So I'll send it out. I might redo this because honestly, I didn't like it, but it's okay. We're wrapping it up though, y'all. We're at the home stretch. But yeah, never stop applying. I'm going to keep applying for stuff. Even though I'm in my PhD program now, and while the university is offering funding, I'd like to make sure I have my own money so that way I have a little bit more control over my school, my research. And so this is a personal statement timeline, and it is hard to read, but since we're on this process, we can do it like this. All right. So, oh gosh. All right. You want to start your journey. You want to choose a subject you'd like to study, and you want to, of course, make sure you're looking at the entry requirements. I think this is a really good idea of attending events on campus. Sometimes the department will, like your department, if it's a big fellowship, they will have events about how to apply, depending on the school you go to. At Illinois, they had a session about applying for NSF, the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship Program, like to make with a prior like leader of the entire fellowship program, you know, sitting there giving us the keys to getting the fellowship. You want to make a list, right? So of places you're looking for your personal statement, and you want to write a draft. So of course you want to look at the research the fellowship and make sure that what you're writing in your fellowship in your essay aligns with the desired outcomes of the fellowship program. And then, yeah, show it to everyone around you. Get as many eyes on it as you can. I wouldn't suggest paying to get that help per se, but I definitely would suggest like asking people that you trust to read it. And of course, you want to make changes. Read it again and again and again and check it. And then you want to make sure you have it done before the deadline. Do this one good time, and maybe I would say one good time like every 2 years, and you can get a lot. Oh crap, sorry y'all. You can get a lot done really quickly once you have a really solid personal statement. And this is really the same process for your research paper too, is making sure that you have your a really strong paper, and you just tweak it every time you have a new question or a new prompt. Tweak the prompt, tweak it to align with everything else you got going on. Okay, last thing. Okay. Prioritizing your money. I'm going to refresh. I thought I'd be done by now. All right. So you want to commit 1 to 3 hours a week to writing your essays. And that's, again, oh my gosh, y'all, I'm sorry. That's, again, for when you're first starting out. Once you have it done, all you're doing is go in there, tweak it, maybe give it 30 minutes to an hour, and you're done. Get a fresh set of eyes on your essay. And one thing I think that not only is good for making sure the flow is well, and also for like reaffirming your desires, is reading your essay aloud. I will never forget when I was applying to programs this time around, now that I'm in grad school. So in 2016, I remember reading my essay aloud and just like, I almost didn't believe it was me writing about, my desires for my life. And so it's also just like a really good exercise in affirming yourself and what it is that you want to do and your why as to your motivation. And then the last thing is mixing up your recommenders. And so I've talked about that before, and the importance of identifying, minimal 4 or 5 people, but it's great if you have 6 people that you can rely on to write recommendations for you. And that way you won't be like, what am I trying to say? You won't be asking the same people over and over again and almost becoming annoying. All right. So that wraps up the presentation. In the wise words of Queen Bee, always stay gracious. Best revenge is your paper. Thank you all so much for taking time to listen to this webinar and working with me, y'all. This was my first time, and that was not as ideal as I wanted it to be, but I appreciate those that stayed till the end. I am going to write down everyone's name and send you all an email with the side hustles. Now, I'm here to answer any questions for the next, I'll say 10 minutes. You can go into the chat and I will read them aloud and answer them for you. This is so ridiculous. Okay, question. Do you know at what point in the academic year the fellowships or assistantships are released? Just trying to get a good idea of the time frame. Yes. So you want to make sure that you, okay. So usually I say like around the same time that applications open, so like September, September-ish, you should find, you can see like the applications opening. But if there's some fellowships that you like look up right now and find out kind of like what you're interested in applying for, you want to just simply sign up for their email list, and you can get an email when the applications open. And that way you kind of set it and forget it, or put it in your calendar, your Google Calendar, if they don't have an email list. And that way the day that it opens, you can go on the website and like fill out your basic information. But I would say usually around September, applications open. So what you could do is spend the summer figuring out what you're going to apply for, get your essay together, get your recommenders together, and then you can get everything done in September come and you just upload and stuff. So that would be great. But I also know I like to enjoy my summers. So I hope that answers your question, Ngazi. Bianca asks, really great presentation. Thank you. And thank you all so much for your kind words. I feel like this was such a struggle. Is there really no way to avoid paying those fees? So in my experience, no. Like even I have friends who have like the Millennium Gates Scholarship, and they still even have fees. And they've had fees the whole time from their bachelor's degree until now. Only thing what I ended up doing was I applied for that summer program I was telling you about, just being completely transparent, because I had a balance on my account and I didn't want to pay it. And so that was how I got my fees paid for that first year. But that second year I had to cough up the money. And then Wilhelmina asked, yeah, that was my question. Can I just say take the gym membership off? And nobody got time for that. I wish it was that easy, but y'all know these schools do not play about their money. They want their money. And Aaron, are you from Detroit? Because if you are, I'm so excited. I, love having my put on for my city at all times. And Thank you, Sarah. I'm happy you enjoyed the podcast as well. But yeah, I definitely agree. Wishing I could take, the only thing you could probably take off is like your health insurance. If you have health insurance through your family or a partner, that is probably the only thing you could get taken off to my knowledge. But just stack the bread ahead of time, y'all. Just put it aside. That's really the best thing. Yes! Okay, Erin. Of course, I'm so excited. Just let it happen, Detroiter. But yeah, I wish there was a way around telling them like I'm not paying those, but they're gonna probably make you pay it. I mean, you could just not pay it, but then you can't get your transcripts, which you need for these fellowships, and that becomes problematic as well. So just pay it. Oh, yeah, like Sarah said, sometimes you can ask for exemptions, but yeah, I haven't had success with that either. Any other questions? Happy to answer any questions for y'all. All right. Now I'm going to try something. If you look in, oh, yes, Wilhelmina. Hey, okay, Detroiters. So excited. I wish I could see my face. Oh, I could just switch and show you my face. So there's a weird picture of not me. All right. Let's see. Okay. Hey. I'm about to open up the YouTube again, so I won't miss any more chats. Thank you. You know, I just love, and I got on one of my favorite podcast shirts right now. Shout out to the Read. They're my faves. They are my inspiration. Did you find it difficult to balance external fellowship research along with the existing research you had? So I think what you're asking, Faria, and correct me, is like, did I have a hard time balancing finding that research? Like, well, taking the time to do that research, as well as my research that I was doing for work. Let me know if I'm on the right track. And Bianca, yes, I could do one about the cost of living on a fellowship. Literally, budgeting is like one of my favorite things to do. I need to like stop and do my own budget, but I'll be happy to do that. And I will absolutely add that to my list about being able to live comfortably on a fellowship, balling on a budget. But Faria, chime in, let me know if I'm understanding your question correctly. Okay, cool. So here's how I balanced I did it on Fridays. So I kind of like compartmentalized a lot anyway. So I spent about, I'd say like 2 or 3 hours a week doing the fellowships applications. And so that was the time, all of that time was spent like finding the fellowships, then applying for them, and then keeping my recommenders on track, making sure I stay track, submitting them. And so it really didn't take that much time. Like I really would say this is about like a 6 to 8 week kind of sprint. And so you can spend the first 2 weeks finding fellowships you're going to apply to and then organizing them. And then spend 2 more weeks, say, doing your you're reaching out to recommenders and then applying for, then drafting your personal statement and your research essay. And then that might take like 2 more weeks. And then the last 2 weeks, you're wrapping up, making sure your recommenders are submitting their recommendations, keeping them on track, telling them what you want them to say in their recommendation letters, and then uploading it and sending it off. And then if you are doing these internal fellowships where you don't even have to do any of that, it's just making sure you stay on top of your advisor, whoever the nominating person is, to submit that nomination. So I didn't think that it was really that much more work, especially if it's going to give you the freedom. I think that's something that I just really want to emphasize, is being able to look and do the research that you're interested in. We don't always get exactly to look at what we want because of where the money's coming from. But if you come in with your own money, you have the freedom to leverage that. And you have that freedom to pick, like, well, I want to work on this. And someone outside this university has given me money and therefore validated my idea. And they think that it's important that this topic gets studied, and therefore this is what I'm going to study. I just need you all to provide me with the source, the resources to do it, be that the education, the lab space, or the technology, or the, whatever you need to do it. And that is where the university comes in, because they don't have to pay for you at all. So they're also, because of that, they're a lot more open to whatever you're bringing to the table. All right, 2 more minutes and I'm gonna go study. But I really am like so excited that people actually stayed on. Thank you all so much. If you still have questions and then you kind of want to talk one-on-one, we can certainly do that as well. A lot of people on here know that they can email me, but right now I am in the process of finishing a book that I wrote called Strengths, Not Strikes, for graduate students, specifically women of color and people of color who are going to graduate school. It's been on my heart to write this book. I've completed the first draft, but now I have to go through the editing process. And so as a way to see if you all even want a book, or if you want help, I'm offering an option to pre-order the book, and it comes with a one-on-one meeting with me. We can talk about any of your grad school challenges. It doesn't have to be just your funding stuff, which of course I'm happy to help you with as well. And if you're interested in that, there's a link down below in the description box. It's between the 2 stars. If you click on that, we'll schedule a meeting. You'll get the first set of the book. I'm shooting to have it done by the beginning of May. And so in a couple weeks, you would be one of my first people to have Strengths, Not Strikes. And I would really hope it's something that you all want. And so this is helping me to understand that this is actually important. You can click that link. If not, I'm still going to hang out a little bit more, answering questions. Let me know. Thanks for the thumbs up to y'all. Hey, 5 subscribers. All right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna refresh. Let's see. I might be missing something. Okay. Nope, I'm not. Any other questions, y'all? Yay! Thanks, Ngazi. Thank you, Wilhelmina. It was so great virtually meeting you all as well. Ngazi, you know that you're the homie now. So like, I'm so grateful that you're here. Wilhelmina, you the homie too. You my Detroit homie. So I actually be home tomorrow. So if you want to hang out, let me know. Like, I don't do anything. I'll do a study. So I'm looking forward to being in Detroit. Thank you all so much. If you don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and log off. Have a great night. Remember, grad school is tough, but you're tougher. Bye, y'all.